In 1933, in Third Reich Germany, Article 175 of the German Penal Code criminalized homosexuality, condemning thousands of men to persecution and censorship. In that oppressive context, any expression that exalted the male body or hinted at homosexuality was destined to be banned. Even works that explored these themes were viewed with suspicion and censored by the regime. This is where the story of Hypnosis begins, painted in 1904 by the artist Sascha Schneider, a talented German painter and sculptor who was persecuted for his sexual orientation for many years. As a result, many of his paintings were destroyed over time. The Third Reich did not want to preserve paintings from a homosexual artist, so much of his work will never be available to us. However, paintings like this one managed to survive their time and deserve to be deeply analyzed. Besides being a lover of the male body, Schneider was also obsessed with the power of suggestion and, by extension, hypnosis. Today, we will uncover the life of a mysterious artist who sought to illustrate this magic with his symbolist style. 120 years later, we will focus on analyzing one of his most famous works, which is full of hidden messages. Let's begin. Sascha Schneider was a painter and illustrator born in Russia but who built his career in Germany. He enjoyed prestige and popularity in his time, but his work was tied to a very particular moment in German history and disappeared from the historical narrative just one generation later. Sascha Schneider and his homoerotic work ceased to exist, and it wasn't until many decades later in this millennium that his artistic value was recognized. During his childhood, his family lived in Zurich, Switzerland, but after his father's death, they moved to Dresden, Germany, where in 1889 he became a student at the Academy of Fine Arts. In 1903, he met the best-selling author Karl May, who, according to Hitler's biographers, was Hitler's favorite author in his childhood. Schneider later became the cover illustrator for several of May's books, including Winnetou, Old Shorehand, and Rio de la Plata, an adventure novel linking Montevideo, Buenos Aires, and Corrientes with a mysterious Incan treasure as the reward. After leaving the academy, he was appointed professor at the prestigious Grand Ducal Saxon Art School in Weimar. He moved in with fellow painter Helmuth Jahn, who began extorting him for money in exchange for not exposing his homosexuality, which was a serious crime at the time. From the beginning of his artistic career, Schneider focused on male bodies, as seen in The Prince of the Condemned from 1896. Following the extortion by his companion, he fled to Italy and for several years would return and leave multiple times until he returned permanently in 1918 and founded Kraft Kunst, an institute for physical education and training where young men trained, many of whom served as models for his nude male artworks. This focus on the male nude was one of the characteristics that made Schneider a different kind of artist, who would focus on the male nude in an overwhelmingly female-centric context. At this time, in the early 20th century, a movement called the health and hygiene movement, hygienism, was promoted as a state response to the poverty and poor hygiene conditions in which citizens lived. This movement advocated training the body and mind through youth exercise outdoors, preferably nude, all in the pursuit of natural health and vitality. As a result, Schneider created paintings, photographs, sculptures, and especially public murals with a homoerotic aesthetic. Proponents claimed that only through the unabashed display of strong and beautiful male bodies could youth be freed from the harmful effects of modern life, which were believed to be destroying the German ideal of masculinity. This classical aesthetic continued during the Third Reich era and formed part of its iconography, where emerging artists like Schneider were scorned as degenerate art. Years later, with the disappearance of Freikörperkultur, Schneider's work also vanished, as it was closely tied to this historical interlude. The artist died in 1927 after suffering a diabetic attack during a ship voyage. By the end of World War II, he was completely forgotten and was only brought back into the scene thanks to the efforts of German collector Hans-Gerd Roeder, who lent his extensive collection of works to the Leslie Lohman Museum, where in 2013, the first retrospective revived Schneider from obscurity. Until now, I haven't mentioned his interest in hypnosis, but I can tell you that Sascha Schneider was attracted to hypnosis because it allowed him to explore and visually represent the deepest and most hidden aspects of the human mind. His interest in hypnosis was closely related to his commitment to symbolism, a movement that sought to go beyond physical reality to reveal universal truths through symbols and metaphors. But before diving deep into this analysis, I want to let you know that for this video, I've taken the time to select the best works of Sascha Schneider and include them in our catalogue so you can purchase a reproduction as faithful as possible to the original work. This way, you can have an interesting piece like this in your home or even as a phone case. On the website, you'll find more than 250 historical paintings that I've personally selected. I invite you to visit the site once you finish watching the video because if you've made it this far, I'm sure you're interested in the world of art. Shipping is completely free worldwide, so don't hesitate to place your order. And as always, I want to thank the hundreds of people who have purchased from the website in recent days and those who take the time to send me their photos and leave a good comment. Now, let's begin the analysis of hypnosis. Firstly, let's examine the overall composition of the work. We see two figures, one male and naked, visibly in a trance, and another dark and enigmatic figure projecting a beam of light from its eyes onto the forehead of the hypnotized man. This beam of light is a clear symbol of the transfer of mental control, a recurring theme in Schneider's work, who was deeply interested in hypnosis as a means to explore the human mind and its hidden depths. The hypnotist, with his face partially covered, represents mystery and the unknown. The fact that his identity is concealed adds an element of unease and symbolizes the invisible forces that influence and control our minds. The beam of light emanating from his eyes can be interpreted as the hypnotic power that penetrates the man's consciousness, illuminating and simultaneously dominating his psyche. The male figure, completely naked, is in a posture of surrender, with his head tilted back and eyes closed. This position suggests vulnerability and total submission to the hypnotist's power. Schneider, who was openly gay, often explored themes of power and domination in his works, perhaps reflecting his own internal struggle with accepting his sexual identity in a society that criminalized homosexuality. The focus on the male body is also significant. Schneider not only celebrated the beauty of the male body, but also used it as a symbol of both strength and fragility. Here, the naked body, exposed and vulnerable, is under the control of an external force, a powerful metaphor for the internal struggle and social oppression that Schneider and other homosexuals faced in his time. The dark setting and the plants in the foreground add an additional layer of symbolism. The plants can represent growth and life, but in the somber context of this painting, they can also symbolize the wild and uncontrolled nature of the human mind. The large, dark leaves surrounding the figures reinforce the sense of mystery and the dark power of the hypnotist. Overall, Sascha Schneider's Hypnosis is a masterpiece of symbolism, where every detail tells a part of a larger narrative about control, vulnerability, and internal struggle. Schneider's fascination with hypnosis reflects his interest in the darker and deeper aspects of the human psyche, while his focus on the male body and power dynamics suggests an exploration of his own identity and the oppression he faced. Through hypnosis, Schneider invites us to reflect on our own minds and the forces that control us, whether internal or external. He shows us the beauty and fragility of human existence, capturing the eternal conflict between light and darkness, control and submission. As a curious fact, this painting was the inspiration for a famous scene in the movie The Lighthouse. The intense psychological interplay and the haunting visual elements in Schneider's work resonated with the filmmakers, leading to a scene that echoes the themes of control and submission depicted in Hypnosis. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching until the end. And as always, I would love to hear what you think about this painting. Personally, I interpret that the mysterious person hypnotizing this poor man represents the state's censorship of his sexuality. What do you think? Leave your interpretation in the comments, I'd love to read it. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And don't forget to visit inspiragio.com to see more paintings by this artist and buy one to have in your home. You'll also find my social media links in the description where you can follow me for more art-related content. See you soon. Bye.